Welcome to bsdtutorial.org. Usually I do tutorials for FreeBSD, OpenBSD, etc. Today I'm going to be helpful for the people that wants to install the Django server on the Ubuntu. This means that it will not be the production server, the server that you use in Python console. This will be the proper one for Apache. I will make a tutorial of installing Django with VSGI on FreeBSD also, but this tutorial comes a bit later, so I start with this one because I think that Ubuntu is the most common operating system that people will use if they need to have fast production and they want to be able to administer their home servers. Of course, there are people on FreeBSD that will use them also. But we start with this one because I feel that I want to be helpful because I didn't find so many good tutorials on the web right now for how to set this up. So let's make one. And what you will be able to do is the following. Installing Apache together with MySQL. You can easily change MySQL to PostgreSQL. That would be wonderful. And you can also you will be able to use virtual host of Apache. So what does this mean then? Virtual host of Apache is a wonderful feature which means that Apache won't be occupied for one website only. It means that you can use one Apache to hold a lot of websites. So imagine like this. You buy 10 host names, mycookiestore.com, myeverything.com, somethingelse.com, and myweb.net. All these websites can be run on one Apache server. Imagine how much money you will save. So this is what you will be able to do. We are also going to cover how to fix the annoying problem with the Django administration interface when it gets defaced without CSS. Everything is fixed in this tutorial. This tutorial is made on Ubuntu 64-bit system, and the only thing I have here that might differ from your installation is the background and also the Vim editor. I like to use Vim editor. I'm a bit old school. If you like other editors than Vim, you can use them without problems, of course, because I think that Vim can be a little bit problematic for beginners. It's a little bit things to get to deal with it before it's easy to handle. So I think we should get started right now. In my case, I haven't either installed Django because I want to take everything from the beginning to be as helpful as possible to make this from scratch. So this tutorial might arrive around 30 minutes or 20 minutes around there. So it might be a long tutorial. So let's start with, I think the first thing we do is that we want to install, I'm going to clear the screen here. I think that we want to install the MySQL support for Python. This is needed to make Python able to use MySQL. So it's very simple. Use sudo to be able to use root command. And use apt get install. Python MySQL DB. This is the library you need for Python to make it connectable to MySQL. Okay, now it's time to get Django. You can get Django on the website djangoproject.com, and you see download over here. Then you just need to download Django tar.gz. I'm going to open it directly with Archive Manager to make it a little bit more simple instead of using the console too much. I'm going to extract this folder into my home directory. I don't think you can see the button because my screen is too little, but I press the extract button to the bottom right corner. And I'm extracting everything to my home directory. You can close all these windows now. Okay. So if you look inside of the home directory here, you see that we have the Django 1.4 there. We are going to use the console, so just type cd to go to the home directory. And in here we want to access Django 1.4.1 by typing cd Django. If you wonder why I get all the text so quick, it's because I'm pressing tab, which is an autocomplete in Unix and Linux. In here you just need to type sudo python setup.py install. This command will install Django into Python, if you haven't done it yet. When this is done, you just need to to go back, and you can safely delete the Django folder right now, because this one you won't need anymore, unless you want to keep it. Oops, I was double clicking by mistake. I'm going to delete this one. Alright. Now we have Django installed. The only remaining things we have to do now is to install the database server, which I'm going to use MySQL. Of course, I like PostgreSQL most, but I think most people today are using MySQL when they are developing. I think PostgreSQL is a lot more advanced and a lot more lovely features, but you can try that one also. It's not harder to install that, I promise you. It's very nice. So, should we begin to install the MySQL server now? You use sudo command apt get install MySQL server, and I think today the version is 5.5. Yes, it is. And in this installation, MySQL will ask us to put a root password. I'm going to be very sloppy and use very short passwords, since this is only a tutorial. I'm going to use the Swedish word for hello, which is hej. You see, I'm a master of security. Using very long passwords on 3 characters. So after we've been installing the MySQL server, the only thing that has to be done is to install Apache, the mod VSGI, which is a Python interface for Apache. And then we need to create all the configuration files and edit our files and being able to run everything perfectly. So let's begin. I'm going to install Apache now. This is the command, Apache 2. Sorry, I was a little bit quick there. I apologize, I'm so quick, I forget. There is the command sudo apt, this one, install Apache 2. That's the command. I'm a little bit rushing, I apologize for that. This is the one I want to install. And after that has been installed, I need libapache2 mod VSGI. Use the same command like this. And it's called a VSGI. This is the interface to communicate with Python through Apache. And we are now ready to set up our VSGI script files. These files are needed for each Django project we want to deploy on our server. I'm going to my home directory to create them there. If you want to have them in another place, that's perfect. I just keep them here in the tutorial. So what we need to create now, you can use any editor you want, because Vim can be confusing. I'm going to use the Vim editor, which is a console application. So I'm going to, I will name my project like this: first web and second web. And we are going to imagine that these projects will have a .com address. So we create the first web. they need to have a trailing.vsgi because these are the script files. Okay, here you need to write some Python code. Just write what I write. Import OS, import sys, sys.path equals bracket and one quotation var www first web. So that's the folder itself to the project path, and you add a plus sys.path, and now we need to add os.environ brackets single quotation Django with big captions underscore. You don't see the underscores right now, but I do them. Settings underscore module single quotation closing bracket equals single quotation first web dot settings. I'm going to explain what these things does in a few moments. Import django.core.handlers.vsgi application equals django.core.handlers.vsgi dot big captions now vsgi handler and these two brackets. I'm in parentheses. So I'm going to save this right now. Import OS, import sys is importing in Python, so don't worry too much about them. They're just importing these type of libraries. Sys path is the folder where our project will be. So first web is the name of the project located in var www, and it includes the sys path. And then this one, OS environ Django settings module, is the settings file for the project named first web. This file is needed for each project you create, and you just need to change the name here, first web to the name of your project, and that one first web to the name of your project. I'm going to create one more of these files by making copy first web.vsgi to name it second web.vsgi. If you look now, we are having two files, first web and second web. So this is web project 1, web project 2, the settings for it. I need to make some minor changes to second web, and I need to change what I told you, this one. First web should be named second web now, instead, in the second web file. And here also, second web.settings. This is everything. Just write and save. So now we have our VSGI script files correctly set up. This is not enough. Now we need to edit our configuration file for Apache. You just need to go to cd etc apache 2, and it should be sites available you should go to. In this folder we need to create our conf file. These files should be, you can name them like this, for example. Oh, before we start, before you start now, so you don't waste time here, you need to be sudo to be a super administrator, so you can save the files here, because we are not in our home directory anymore. I'm going to do a couple of things here, so I want to be sudo all the time, so then I do like this, sudo _s. That's make sure that I will be root. You can see now my $sign here was changed into an hash mark. So now I'm able to edit things here. I'm going to do vim first web.conf this file, this is the Apache config file we are editing. Add virtual host with big caption V and H, asterisk colon 80, and a closing bracket like that. And then VSGI script alias. Notice the big caption in VSGI, S in script, and A in alias. This should be pointed to the root, and it should be home. Plex is the name of my user in home where I created my .vsgi files, because these are the ones we want to reach now. So change that to your username. First web.vsgi. Here comes server name, which is like this, firstweb.com. So please remember that here is the domain name for the website. This is the place where Apache actually knows when you're trying to enter firstweb.com, it will bring you this configuration file settings back to you. So that's very important. We need to create an alias, which is static, which points to var www firstweb/static. This is needed for the admin interface for Django, or else you will be without CSS and you will be without all the look of the web page. It will look very terrible if you forget this one. So that's what comes in place. We also need to add the files to the project, but I will show you later what it means. But just so you know what this is doing. Then we need directory, which should be var www firstweb/ and order with a big caption there, allow, deny. Notice there is a little comma there between them. Allow as caption there, from all, and there directory ends. And now we can end the virtual host. Virtual host. This is everything you need. If you need more things, you can add them also, no problems. This is everything that is minimum required to be able to run the server in a virtual host. So this is one configuration file for one of our web hotel. We can write and save. So this is what the file looks like, firstweb.conf. We need to make one for the secondweb.conf also. We copy this first to secondweb.conf and we edit it. Here we need to make some minor changes. For example, we need to change the correct VSGI file, so Django knows which settings is needed. Then we need to change this address, so we are going to run correct address when we ask for it. secondweb.com, for example. Then here, first web should be second web. And here we need to change this one also. Second web. That should be everything. So in Ubuntu and Subuntu, to enable these sites, to make them working, we need to use one command called a2n site, and the name of the configuration file, firstweb.conf. And then we need to do the same thing to the other file, a2n site, secondweb.conf. We need to do this to all the configuration files we want to make active. So there is another command, which is, I think it's called a2 D site. I'm not sure, but you can Google for it to disable sites if you need in future. Okay, both files are now active. And one thing we need to do now is to reload Apache. But before we reload Apache, I think it's time to create our projects, because we haven't created them yet. We can do this by going to var www. In this directory, you can use the command Django admin.py start project first web, and the same Django admin.py start project. This creates the projects for Django. Second web. So now we should have two folders here, first web and second web, as you can see. Okay, so now we have our folders. I think we can restart Apache now. You can restart Apache in two ways. One is Apache CTL restart, or the other way can be etc init.d apache 2 restart. And now Apache should be running. But remember one thing, we haven't bought any host names. To make this tutorial simple, I'm going to teach you how you can locally point to an address to your own server. This is very simple. All you have to do is to edit etc hosts, and I will show you what it means. Here you just add the IP address. I already know my IP address. If you don't know, you can type ifconfig in the console to see what IP address you have. I'm going to show this a little bit quick to not miss anything for you. You just do like this, ifconfig. And here you can see the address, which is located here. You add the local address and firstweb.com, and then we add the same address here in this case, and we add secondweb.com. So what we are doing now is that when we ask the web browser to search for firstweb.com, we are pointing back to our own machine. If you were deploying this server and would like to have it sharp outside of internet, you need to have a host name from a DNS server, and you need to have that pointed to your external IP address so it reaches your server. That's what it's all about. But in this case, we need to do like this because I don't have any host name for this website. I'm going to save and quit. Now we should be able to visit our websites by going into the Firefox. If I now type firstweb.com, we are reaching our server. And here you will notice one thing. If you read here, settings in firstweb/settings.py, this proves that we are on the correct website right now. If I take secondweb.com, I'm going to open a different tab. You see that we get secondweb/settings.py. So our host is working absolutely perfect right now. We have already finished one of the big steps, actually, which means that we've been creating our virtual host. So as you can see, we are pointing to two different addresses, secondweb and firstweb. And even if we have one web server, we have two different categories that it points absolutely correctly to. That's just very good. So what we need to do now is to take the last important part to enable the admin interface, and I show you what the problem is when you will have no CSS at all. We can do it on the firstweb.com. All you have to do now is to go to the project here, firstweb, which is located in var www. We enter firstweb. In here we should have a folder called static but we don't have it, so we wait a bit before we add it. Go into First Web. In here, you want to edit the settings.py. Here you want to make sure that we have the admin interface activated. Let's see where it is. Here it should be. On installed apps, uncomment the next line to enable the admin. So then you do like this. Make sure that you have exactly the same amount of spaces between here, else Python script will be read totally wrong. Now you can just write and save this one. And there is one thing more, two things more we need to do. One thing I was forgetting in settings.py because I want to show you why it's needed before we continue. Okay, so let's edit a file called URLs, which is this one. In here, you need to remove these two comments to enable the admin interface. This one. From Django contrib import admin. And this one. And then we need to keep this one. Make sure that you remove the two spaces there. This enables so we can go to /admin to reach our admin interface. And now I'm going to show you the thing we were forgetting, that we need to have the database set up to be able to use the admin interface. That's why I was saving that to the last end here now. First we need to use the command MySQL. We need to create a database for this project. MySQL u is root, is the user root, and we require password. Do like this. Then it asks us for the password. In here you can run the command show databases. This shows which databases we have already. Now we need to create one for First Web. So do like this. Create database First Web semicolon. And if we run the command show databases, you will see that we created a database called the First Web. This is required for our project. You can now exit MySQL and we can begin to edit. As you see in this folder, we need to edit the settings.py again. Because now we need to tell Django that we have a database we want to connect to. You go down here to Django db.backends dot, and after that dot you need to add MySQL for the MySQL support. The database name should be between these two quotations and it's named First Web. That's the database we created. The user I'm using in my case is the root user. If you're an experienced SQL user, you would have been adding another type of user for this project and another password, of course. But I'm going to use the plain root and the root password for the MySQL database. So here I enter root. Here I enter the password for the database, which was very secure. Okay, that's everything you need. Save now and exit. And now we need to go back one step in the project so we can see the manage.py, because here you need to run Python manage.py and syncdb to create all the tables for the admin interface. And now it's asked that we haven't defined any user. Who is this user? Well, this user is the super user for the Django project itself, for the administration. I want to create one, yeah. I want to name this one Plex, and I want to use Plex at somewhere.nowhere, just a fake email address in this case. Okay, I couldn't fake so much. Okay, let's use one. And then we need a password for this user. And now we have a super user. Okay, we can now restart the Apache. We can use this command, Apache ctl, restart. Now, if I do like this, I go back to the website, which was firstweb.com, and I make /admin, I will get a very ugly admin interface. The reason why this has no CSS has been a little problem that people has been scratching their head about. It's that we don't have the the media files needed, so we are going to copy them. Do you remember when we were configuring the files and I told you about static needs to be able to reach the files? We have the path to static now, but we don't have the files itself. I'm going to copy these files now. It's not that hard. You just need to go to your terminal. And what you need to copy is to use this command, cp, and you need to use the that flag option R, which means recursive, because we want to have everything from the subfolders also. We need to copy user local lib and Python 2.7 in my case, dist package, and then we need to go to Django, and then we need contrib admin, and then we need to take static is the folder which all the CSS and everything is will be located. These ones need to be copied to var ww and the project first web. Here is where you need to put it. Just press return now. If you look here in first web, you see that we have the static folder now. So when we are pressing F5 to update, we should get the beautiful admin interface right now. I should be able to log in as the user Plex I created. And voila. Everything was just working perfect. And then you see we have our second web page still running, but this one does not have the admin interface set up. You can see. You don't get forward when you use that link compared to this one, which works absolutely perfect now. This is everything you need to know to be able to set up a Django for sharp use on the internet. There are of course a few things I didn't take in this tutorial, and they are like followings. I didn't deactivate the debug mode. With the debug mode on, you will still get the Django error messages when something happens. So think about that. If you want to disable them, you can take a look inside of the Django project.com, inside of the documentation there. You can also ask experienced Django developers on, for example, Stack Overflow. And there are, of course, I guess that there are some more minor changes to do before it becomes productive on the internet. But this is everything you needed to know how to set up Django, and it should be very painless now compared to if you have tried it before. So that was everything, and I hope this tutorial was useful, and stay tuned for more tutorials and take care.